I'm Karen, and today, instead of my usual hiking video, I am doing a video about hiking safety. As you know, many of my videos have a little safety tip or two, common sense things like taking plenty of water, telling somebody where you're going to go, and then actually going there. One thing though I never thought that I would have to give a safety tip about, I'm going to give today, and that is don't go hiking in a blizzard. You would think that would be a pretty common sense safety knowledge, but unfortunately it appears that it's not. And I'm saying that because about 2.5 weeks ago, a man had to be rescued in the Huachuca Mountains because he went out hiking as the blizzard was starting. And he ended up getting rescued when the snow finally stopped about a day and a half after he had started his hike. He started up at Montezuma Pass. Apparently he was taking the Crest Trail, and he went about 3 miles before he pitched camp. And then at some point during the night, when it was well below freezing, probably 20-25 degrees, with winds of 15 to 25 miles an hour, and eventually about a foot of snow, his tent collapsed. His boots froze, so he didn't put his boots in his sleeping bag with him. And the next morning then he had to be, well, he called a family member. The family member called the Cochise County Sheriff's Office. The search and rescue team went out to find him. They started, I guess, in the early afternoon, the day after he started hiking. So on a Tuesday around 1 or 2 o'clock, the rescuers started hiking towards him. They only got maybe halfway there, halfway of the 3.5 miles, before they couldn't go any further. It was getting dark at that point, at 4:30 in the afternoon. The rescuers had to call for a helicopter to come in. Then the helicopter had some mechanical problems, so then a second helicopter had to come in. It was 10:30 on the day after he started hiking, probably a whole day after his tent had collapsed, that the man was finally hoisted out by a Customs and Border Patrol helicopter rescue team.
Frostbite going on. They're not black yet, that's good, but they're getting there. So we need to get you going and get you out of here.
So 2 helicopters, multiple vehicles, 20, 30 at least people out there to rescue one person who decided to go, yes, hiking in a blizzard. You know, a lot of people, I think, when they come to Sierra Vista, perhaps don't realize how much snow we get in the mountains. There's often snow from January all the way till April when we have a snowy or a wet and cool winter. This year is pretty dry, so we haven't had too much. But even though we're only a couple of miles from the border with Mexico, it gets very cold and it snows in the mountains because you're looking at up there from 6,500 feet up to 9,500 feet. So it's at altitude, we get plenty of snow up there, and if you're not aware of that, make sure that when you're checking the weather down here to go for a hike, that you just don't depend on what the weather's going to be in Sierra Vista, because the calculation is 3.3 degrees per 1,000 feet. So each 1,000 feet you go up, it's going to be 3.3 degrees colder when it's rainy and snowy. So if it's 45 degrees here, on Miller Peak it's going to be about 17, let's go with 47 degrees here. And if it's 17 degrees colder at the peak, the altitude of Miller Peak, then it's going to be 30 degrees. And that's certainly cold enough for it to be snowing. I have to say that I do have sympathy for the man who had to be rescued. Clearly, for whatever reason, he wasn't prepared, and though he spent a whole day being very cold, frozen, I believe he had some frostbite, obviously exposure, some hypothermia by the time he was rescued. And you have to be honest, it would be very, very frightening to be out there for your second night in a row, hearing one helicopter come out, calling for help, and 10, 11 hours later still waiting. If his phone died at some point, then he would really have no way to know what was going on. So it would be very frightening, but you really cannot put yourself and other people in danger just because you want to go out for a hike. Plenty of people like hiking and camping in the winter. I'm not one of them. Other people do. But there's a difference between hiking and camping in the winter and deciding to go out for a hike when a blizzard is coming in and then being caught in it. That takes some serious lack of planning. So with that in mind, I'm going to replay some of the clips of some of my safety tips that I've given over my hikes. I hope you'll pay attention to them, and we'll add this last one from today, which is, please don't go hiking in a blizzard. Just to always check the weather before you go out hiking. It's not safe to be doing on your own. We're at 9,200 feet. Let someone know where you're going and when you're coming back, and then actually go where you say you're going. To always carry a whistle with you. To always carry identification on you, in your pocket or somewhere on your body. To consider the weather, but also consider the seasons that you're hiking in. The wind was howling. It was just howling right over this ridge. It just really wasn't safe to go any further. To know your safety equipment. A Garmin inReach, that's a satellite communicator and a tracker. At a certain point, decide is the risk of getting injured or hurt worth going further. You don't get rescued in 15 or 20 minutes. It can be many hours of waiting for a rescue. And I will see you next week for another hike. Don't put rescuers or yourself in that position. Hovering there, another one hovering right here. Oh, there they go. 2. I wonder where number 3 is. Number 3 is already out. And usually they head north at this point, but it's like they're heading sort of southwest towards Connolly. Or somewhere else.